Hey everybody. I know this video may come off in a negative and potentially overly cynical way, but it is for a good reason. Besides, I'll be calling out some great games for you guys to keep an eye out for whenever you do your Christmas sale shopping, so it's not even gonna be that bad. But we do have to lay out some uncomfortable facts. Both about the Game Awards and how they function, the blatantly biased judges and juries that decide who wins those awards, their established bias against Expedition 33, and much more. And while yes, I admit that I am a fan of the game and enjoy it very much, while I admit that it would be my personal pick for the best game of this year, I'm not an unhinged glazer who is incapable of seeing anything else. In fact, I spent most of the year pushing people to buy other games like Titanfall, Tainted Grail: The Fall of Avalon, Hell Is Us, and other smaller indie games that I shared on my social media. But to a realistic extent, yeah, Expedition 33 has been getting a little snubbed here and there. Most notably, it was totally robbed in the Grammys, where they handed Best Score Soundtrack for video games to some goddamn DLCs of Star Wars or Avatar or whatever. Which Star Wars and Avatar games? The dead ones from Ubisoft that nobody ever talks about. I'll remind you that Expedition 33 hasn't just been praised for its story and design, it was glazed for its soundtrack too, for being so original, beautiful, and having so much variety. It was such a hit that the composer was immediately looked up, and the soundtrack remained in the #1 spot for 10 weeks on Billboard's Classical Albums chart. And on Spotify, it racked up 18 million streams in the first 2 weeks alone. Meanwhile, the awards are given to Star Wars and Avatar because they're Star Wars and Avatar. Ain't that something? But first, before we dive deeper, and especially because of any potential new viewers that may find this video, a little background history. Originally, the idea of the Game Awards was to celebrate good games, achievements in game development, and most of all, gaming itself as a whole, including the cultural aspect of it. To elevate it past this status of a silly, immature toy for kids to a status that respects the artistic value that gets put into games, and the heights that they can achieve from quality emotional storytelling and exciting action-packed set pieces that rivaled Hollywood and surpassed it in terms of revenue, which is something that sadly ended up being a negative thing, as it attracted masses of investors wanting to leech from the industry with quick, easy payouts rather than elevate it by funding amazing ideas. But that's a whole other video. The Game Awards didn't start off that way though. It was kind of a wild show for a while during the 2000s and early 2010s, more so towards the second half there. And the thing with that is that games media has been haunted by corruption for a long time. It just is what it is. It lives and dies by access. Gamers wanted to know when the next big game was releasing or the details on an awaited project. Games media were the ones to provide this, but they only did it because the game publishers provided it to them first. And information, exclusive gameplay footage, preview events, and ultimately early review codes for reviews were provided based on how friendly those articles and reviews would be. Step out of line and you lose your access. Lose your access and you're cooked. Nothing new here. But another thing that was big was brand deals. This is what Spike TV's Video Game Awards was plagued by at the time, leading to this hilarious and infamous picture of Geoff Keighley sitting on a chair, looking depressed and defeated while surrounded by bags of Doritos and bottles of Mountain Dew. Because they were major sponsors of the Game Awards and even other individual deals with Xbox and I think maybe even Call of Duty at the time, like this stuff was everywhere and very associated with gaming for better or for worse. And it got to the point of turning the Game Awards into a bit of a clown show sometimes, because you'd have award categories being presented with the brand. Like you'd have some shit like Best Action Game brought to you by Mountain Dew. This was the legacy that Geoff Keighley wanted to escape from. If Spike TV had to turn it into a total clown show that even mocked the medium in order to make money, they would. And sometimes they even did just that.
Welcome to the future of award shows. Movies are dumb. Television is dead. Video games are the future.
Name one game that you're really excited about.
A lot of games look great tonight. And that's what's great about the shows. We get all the industry together.
I feel like a lot of them look bad. Name one game that you're going to play. Other than all of them, and you like them all.
No, they all.
Have you ever not liked a game? Have you ever gone on record of saying, I don't like this game?
Yes, there have been some games that have not been very good.
Really?
Yes. A lot of them disappoint, and they're not nominated here tonight.
Geoff Keighley hated it, and many people hated him for it too.
That little smile he has? That is years of training.
He caught a lot of flack over it, but at the end of the day, he just acted professional and bided his time, doing what he had to do because that's the only way that there could be a Game Awards to begin with. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do, nothing comes free. But boy was he mad. Like even in this picture right here where he's smiling, if you cover up the lower half of his face, you can still see it in his fucking eyes. The suffering, the pain, the anguish. He's just totally dead inside. For him, he wanted the Game Awards to be respected, but his bosses, the people ahead of the show, didn't get it. They were just focused on audience numbers, and then ultimately, because of low ratings and network shifts, Spike TV ended the show and Geoff Keighley went independent, creating the Game Awards. He invested a bunch of money of his own and rejected every deal that came his way. Anything to do with exclusive streaming rights or TV networks was thrown out the window so that he wouldn't be forced to sit down in a room with Doritos and Mountain Dew ever again. Instead, he went to Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, and other major publishers, getting support from them. And this was just one of those things that worked out perfectly, because if he had to do that now, it wouldn't work. Now there's way too much, advertisers, optics, back then there wasn't as much. These companies were more locked in with the gaming public. And so the Game Awards as we know them now were born, with Geoff's own ideals for what he thought it should be about, with a respectable awards component, professional staging, musical performances, little statues to make it look like the Oscars, celebrity guests, which sometimes led to a lot of cringe as well, but hey, what are you gonna do?
As you guys also may know or may not know, I'm a furry.
No shit.
Oh, and of course, the number one thing, world premieres as a hook for people to tune in and check out the upcoming games. This is also good for the business side of things because of course publishers will want to compete for reveal slots. The days of corporate branding were gone, and I do have to admit that I hold a degree of respect for Geoff Keighley making this happen out of his own volition. But it wasn't all roses and sunflowers. Now we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. So let's get right into the cheese now. Even though Geoff Keighley can say he changed the way the world sees the Game Awards by presenting them in a professional and official manner, I don't think he can say that he managed to fulfill that original vision of celebrating gaming as it is, celebrating the culture of it, highlighting the best games of the year and shedding light on other achievements. What he really does is celebrate the elite of the games industry, big publishers, gaming news outlets, poor mainstream games, and safe personalities, all of it just to keep the status quo of fake journalism, paid reviews, nepotism, and much more going into the future. Maybe for a couple of years or for a few instances here and there, he might have done well for a few studios and a few truly deserving games to be highlighted. I'm not saying it's all bad, even a broken clock can be right twice a day after all.
The Oscars should fuck themselves up. This is the shit. I'm telling you, this is the real shit. What is this? The interactive gaming. Look, I'm just saying this. Let me tell you. I'm sorry, I'm taking. Let me just give me a minute. I want to take your time. Look. Okay, can you swear here? Can you swear? Okay. Fuck the Oscars, Fuck the Oscars. Fuck you. I'll tell you.
Read it, boy.
Been working on something new.
Another game.
Yeah, something very different, something maybe more ambitious. For...
Here we go.
And the game award goes to, oh man, I have to pay a microtransaction to unlock. That's so stupid that this has to, hold on, I got this, guys, here we go.
How does one get into acting in video games? Wait for Nolan North and I to die.
But in general, no. And for the last few years, the Game Awards has been in a tough spot. Financially speaking, I'm sure he's doing just fine. The status quo is a status quo for a reason, after all. But when it comes to trust from the audience, it's not going well, and it's only going to get worse if things keep going the way that they are. especially when it comes to the awards, because when it comes to the show part of things, the show is fine. The show has its own gems, like we just played some clips right now. Sometimes it's more entertaining than others, other times there's more cringe than others, it's whatever. But the awards part of it feels like a secondary thing now. It's like it's not the main thing anymore. It's all just about the show and the trailers, and the awards, it's, you know, whatever, just hand them out to the mainstream brands. So we end up having this night of celebration, but in the end, what are we really celebrating? Not really the games. What are we celebrating? Are we celebrating the industry? It's cool to celebrate some successes, like some of the indie successes we had this year, you know, Expedition 33, etc., other games, you know, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, but in general, this industry is imploding. It's drowning in debt. It's layoffs after layoffs after layoffs. At a certain point, what are we really celebrating here? Game journalists spend the entire year pretending like everything is fine. The games are great. If they fail, it's the fault of, you know, whatever, content creators on the internet and malicious hate campaigns. And they only ever give companies a bad time whenever there's a mass layoff. And that's when they come out and they're like, bad, you shouldn't do this. But when it comes to addressing problems going on in the studio so that we can try to avoid the layoffs, well, you can forget all about that. And if not for the component of game announcements from publishers and studios, there would be even less reasons for people to tune in the future. After all, if you start losing your integrity and authenticity, why would people tune in? Now, to be fair, mistrust from gamers around the globe has always been a thing, with allegations of rigged results for years now. And I know most of this cannot be taken seriously. After all it takes for someone in their bedroom, through the power of the internet, to say the Game Awards is totally rigged is for their personal pick to not win. I mean, look at Shroud right now, a big streamer. Dude is maddened because Expedition 33 is nominated and racking up a bunch of W's all over the place, while he preferred instead for our creators to be winning everything. The truth is that, yeah, the awards feel quite rigged, but not because of that. In this topic, I'll make my case for why this is, why there's actual validity to it, and why I wish Expedition 33 just lost, like ripping a band-aid, just to expose it all once and for all, rather than in increments. And then in the next point of the video, I'll go over why I see Jeff Keighley's management as a failure of those original values, giving examples as to why. So let's just jump right into it. The reason why there's been more mistrust lately has been because of blatantly biased decisions on the rise. We even have a very fresh memory example from last year's show, where the Game of the Year award was given to a cartoony robot game. Now fellas, trust me, I know that there's a lot of fans of Astrobot. Personally, I can't say I know anyone who played this game, but I know some of you are out there and I know that you like this game a lot, and I understand why. I know a lot of people like the simplicity of it. It harkens back to the era of platformers. Fun games designed with gameplay mechanics in mind rather than, realism. I too am an enjoyer of this kind of thing. A great game this year that plays like that is The Nightling, made by an indie studio. It's an era of simplicity a lot of us miss. But this is still supposed to be the big boy, the big one of the Game Awards. And there was a very clear winner last year, just like there was a very clear winner in 2023, and just like there is a very clear winner this year as well. Just because a simpler and fun game that harkens back to a simpler time exists, doesn't mean we forget every other game around. For example, just because we got Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World this year, does not mean that we forget the design, music, writing, and direction excellency that is Expedition 33. 2023's big hit was obviously Baldur's Gate 3. This year's was obviously Expedition 33, and last year's was obviously Black Myth Wukong. But the game ended up getting totally snubbed. And not just in the Game of the Year department either, and not even the only game suffering from that. Stellar Blade was also nowhere to be goddamn seen. Now, realistically, some of this is attributed to malice and games industry politics, as I'll show you in a second, but other examples are also attributed to what we'll focus on in the next point, which is this total... I don't even know what to call it. Negligence sounds too serious. It sounds like something for medical matters or whatever. So I guess I'll just call it tourism. The Game Awards looks like it's run by fucking tourists. They don't even know what games come out, so they only shove in the mainstream shit in there. It's to the point where they have to shove the Elden Ring DLC into categories like Game of the Year and Best Game Direction because they couldn't think of anything else, ending up with 5 nominees for these 2 categories instead of completing the whole roster with 6. Why only highlight 5 games? Why make a DLC and Balatro 2 out of those 5? Well, because it's fucking trendy and mainstream. That's why. Why were games like Dragon's Dogma 2, Rise of the Ronin, Banishers, Ghost of New Eden, and Stalker 2 barely anywhere to be seen? Why is Stellar Blade and Space Marine 2 on a similar boat? How the fuck did they award the Fallout show as the best adaptation despite the rift in the community instead of Arcane? Honestly, I could go on, and believe me, I mention these not because they should be the obvious winners or anything, but at the very least because they should be obvious nominees. But they just weren't. Hilariously, the Player's Choice winner was Black Myth Wukong, because of course it was. It's obvious what was the actual Player's Choice. It's obvious what was the actual Game of the Year, if not for these judges and juries meddling with it. But this happened anyway, and it's going to keep happening because of a thing we touched on a few minutes ago, in regards to games media bias. The fall of games journalism started a long time ago already, as they proved themselves to be unreliable in their game coverage because of having to shill for publishers and brands in order to maintain their access to them. But this has only gone and gotten much worse over time, and now they're in a deep hole where everything they do is tied to their pathetic little agendas that none of us really care about, but have to put up with because since they have the privilege of being official gaming media outlets, they are everywhere, and they have weight. That's why I started making videos in the first place. I got tired of being lied to as I scrolled through social media at work. Like I'd be at work scrolling during the dead times and finding blatant lies, clickbait, shilling for bad games, and scores of insults and demonizations of anyone at all that disagreed or dared to have a different opinion than their established ones. They have been actively dividing people for years. A major target of theirs last year was Black Myth Wukong. They did this game so incredibly dirty that it isn't even funny, and I wish the studio had taken all that money and sued them for all they had for running those lies. IGN mistranslated a bunch of shit to try and make it look like the studio was run by sexists and hated women. Then, loads of other outlets took that story and ran with it. And that's not even all. They kept smearing the developers and then focused a full force attack on the game itself, with one of the major articles at the time by Dot Esports labeling fans of the game as problematic, toxic, and evil right-wingers. This article even had a funny lie in a hilarious chain of events. The author of the article opened up with saying what his review score for the game was. Then later he says he spent 40 hours in the game and so far had not even seen a single female character. All he had seen was just a boss fight against a rock construct that was labeled as Mother of Stone or something like that. So he used this to insinuate that the IGN story about sexism is real because hey look, this game lacks diversity and has no female characters. And what's hilarious is that if you played the game, that you would know that the boss he mentioned is in Act 2. Act 2 is very early in the game. Soon after this rocky desert area, you already find actual female characters in the following chapters, multiple of them. So this dude not only is a retard who is stuck 40 hours in on the second act, which is honestly more like the first act after the linear tutorial area in the jungle, but he also just exposed himself for doing a full review of a game with a final score on something that he's not even halfway through yet. Just absolutely brilliant games journalism. A true display of game journalist dumbassity, just like the Cuphead tutorial. Oh yeah, and don't forget the diversity part. This was another big point of contention game journalists had with this game. It was a game set in Chinese mythology, and therefore it didn't have enough black and brown people for them to approve of it. Not enough gay people either. Basically, if you don't make your games look like downtown Los Angeles in 2025, you're cooked. They did the same thing to Final Fantasy XVI, wrote articles about how uncomfortable they are with the lack of diversity. Now you take this, and so much more that happened, happen, as games like Black Myth Wukong and Stellar Blade were attacked over ideological differences. Stellar Blade was said by IGN that the creators of the game have never seen a woman. And you tell me, how is it that we can trust these judges and juries? Which, by the way, here they are on screen for this year, for example. We're talking about loads of people from games media and other similar shit to that, like Variety and Rolling Stone, which are literal ideological cesspools of excess media slop. Like, how can we take all of this and trust them to be objective? Trust them to do for the Game Awards what they are incapable of doing throughout the entire year, which is to shut the fuck up and just do their jobs, evaluating games, instead of running political-driven hit pieces on gamers and studios that make games that don't bend to their agenda. Now, it does look pretty obvious why Black Myth Wukong didn't win, doesn't it? It's not because Astrobot was the better game. Hell, pretend it doesn't even exist. They would have just given it to Balatro or some other shit instead. It didn't win because it couldn't be allowed to win. It must have been hard enough for these assholes to not put up Dragon Age Veilguard as a nomination. They exercise their own level of caution during these times. I'm going to assume that it's because of Jeff Keighley and his own team. Reason why is because if you check out other award shows or their own outlets' picks for Games of the Year, they are blatant with it. So it is my assumption that Jeff Keighley tries his best to steer the ship a little bit so as to not turn his entire show into a complete fucking clown venue. But I want it to. Like, why only influence things to a certain degree? Why allow them to be the judges and juries in the first place? Why only have some tactical injustices here and there? Screw that, the bullshit is already there, it's in plain view of everyone's sight. The people making the nominations and who hold 90% of the voting power already make their disdain for us and their blatant bias known throughout the entire year. They go year in and year out trying to convince people that garbage games sold amazingly well, or straight up trying to get people to play them, like last year trying to get you, the viewer, to shell out $40 or $50 to give Concord a chance.
Oh! Ew! Dude! What the fuck?
And then shell out another $40 or $50 for Dustborn, an utter piece of garbage.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. I'm saying.
Or straight up $70 to $80 for Star Wars Outlaws, a game that was broken at launch and lacking in features. This game was so unfinished that the stealth didn't work, and it was a stealth game. And the third-person shooting part of the third-person shooting game was also lacking features. And these clowns wanted you to shell out top dollar for it, writing fucking articles like these saying that you're going to miss the experience if you don't buy it. Same with Veilguard, 9s out of 10s and articles glazing the hell out of it and how the chuds were all wrong. Morons like Matt Piscatella and other analytics people trying to pass on the image that it was selling well. And now we know without a shadow of a doubt that it wasn't.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
These people run blatant agendas and they don't even hide it. This year we had the same type of thing with Assassin's Creed Shadows. High scores, loads of articles already pre-glazing the game before launch and trying to shut down criticism by labeling it as racism. And then, after launch, multiple attempts at trying to lie about the performance of the game as Ubisoft literally burns in real time in front of us all. It doesn't stop, it doesn't relent, people don't get fired for it. Whenever they do get fired for it and whole sections of it get shut down, the people who remain there don't change anything about their behavior, it just keeps going. Because this is the identity of games media now. And boy oh boy, they don't like Expedition 33 either. They don't hate it the way that they hated Black Myth Wukong. In fact, they're very affable to parts of it, like the actors working on it being very popular and industry good boys. You know, meaning good people in good standing. But they hate that we like it too. They wanted it to be a victory for their agenda, a symbol like Veilguard was last year. So they wanted more overt and clear diversity and queer representation stuff, which the game just didn't have. I mean, you got people now trying to link it to that because one of the actresses who won an award for best performance made her acceptance speech about being gay and about queer joy, and how that was totally important for her depiction of a non-gay, non-queer, and totally non-sexualized 16-year-old character. Huh? I have no idea what that was all about. Honestly, it just comes off as cringe. Here's the clip to see for yourselves.
Maëlle embarks on this crazy journey. She chooses to leave a life that wasn't serving her. And I did that a few years ago. And I chose instead a life that was authentic, a life that was gay. I fell in love with a beautiful woman who's crying her eyes out right now. It's really funny. And I chose queer joy. And as a result of that queer joy, I felt safe enough to pour my grief and pain and all that nonsense and joy and love into this incredibly beautifully written character. And I am so proud of that, and I just want to thank Queer Joy for that.
So yeah, see what I mean? I have no idea what she's on about. You know, what Maëlle did and what she is obviously has no comparison whatsoever to any of this, but this is what the actress chose to focus on her speech. I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand that coming out as gay to your family and friends, depending on how they are, is probably like a scary thing that carries some anxiety, but seriously, let's not kid ourselves with these comparisons. Especially out here in the West, where being gay has been so normalized that you got mainstream entertainment putting up quotas to make sure that every other game, TV show, movie, cartoons, comics, etc. has at least one of them for representation, and preferably depicted by a gay actor or actress to avoid any inauthentic casting, especially when it comes to gay women, which are even more accepted than gay guys. Hell, even the president of the Chuds, that they hate so much and call bigoted, hosts gay weddings at his house. So, what are we doing here? What are we doing here with this comparison? Like, let's just face it, over here in the West, especially where she's from and where she dwells, which I would assume is either America or America and England, it's not just normalized anymore, it's glorified. Now, if you were a Muslim dude, like if you're a Muslim dude in the Middle East, like one of those hardcore Muslim countries, and you were gay, now you're talking. Now that is high stakes right there, but over here in the West, give me a break, fella, come on. It's insulting. And the other assertion was even stupider because, I mean, what? You can only depict this character because you're gay and you got queer joy? What does that even mean? Take that away and suddenly you can't act anymore? No less as a character that has nothing to do with being gay? It just sounds so strange and performative. But it's whatever. Congratulations on the award. Whatever cringe happens on stage, I really don't care. But why is it there? Well, it's there because this is what sells in this industry. Become an icon for the right politics and for what stuff they want to push and what stuff they believe sells, and you will be showered with new roles. The girl is definitely smart in that regard, but why do that at all? Just let your acting chops speak for themselves. You clearly have them. Doing this is just going to make yourself be just yet another one of those actors in this industry who gets put everywhere because of them being gay. And then once it's not convenient, gets ditched by the same industry that propped them up. This is what I wish gay people like her understood. They're not accepted by these corporations, they're just a profitable group to pander to and to use. Once that profit is no longer there, it's over. And then actors like her who flaunt their sexuality as part of their identity become a liability. Hell, her sexuality is already being weaponized right now by morons trying to label the game as a woke type of game. A game that people like myself can't enjoy anymore because an actress who is gay worked on it. Like, are you serious? This is never what it has been about. It has always been about ideological influences in the game. Keep the games free of activism nonsense, and I don't care who works on it. It doesn't bother me at all. I don't have like an issue with that. This has been proven time and time again. People earlier this year were celebrating the successful sales of Monster Hunter Wilds, and apparently one of the actors in that game is non-binary. And these posts flooded the internet again like, look, you are praising playing this game, but this game has non-binary actor. I thought you were anti-woke. Like, brother, this is about the games, it's not about the people. This is a ridiculous straw man. The problem Monster Hunter Wilds has is performance, as far as I'm aware. I wish gay people like her understood that people like this don't truly care about their identity. And you know what? Neither do I, to be honest. Jennifer English being gay or straight doesn't affect me in any way. The difference is, I would never weaponize her sexuality against other groups of people or as a symbol that represents me and my lifestyle, but rejects others and their lifestyles on purpose, just to divide them. This is what games media does. The games media and these morons. And it's good for nobody, including Jennifer English. All I care about is the game's integrity, and ultimately what executives will care about, devoid of any of these trendy influences that come and go with time, is your work. So just do good work and be who you want to be. Besides that, get hired not because you're a gay icon, but because you're a good actor. And that way you ensure more work in the future, even after the trendy woke era goes out of fashion. But anyway, back to the thing. The point is, the game was clear of any external ideologies, and that's what matters. Any diversity of characters in it was natural, and the game was all about the fiction, the escapism, the story, the passion, the vision, etc. It was literally a game for everyone because it did not pander to anyone. Only people who were mad about it and angry that it appealed to a massive audience are the salty, mentally unwell morons who want everything to be a reflection of them and a rejection of everything and everyone else who don't pander to them. In other words, the ever-dwindling and failing modern audience. But that's not all. Another thing these people, game journalists, activists in the industry, etc., don't like about Expedition 33 is how it makes people like myself take it and hold it up to companies like Ubisoft and others in the industry who employ thousands of people and ask, what the hell is wrong with them? How is it that a studio with just around 30 people who started off with just 5, the main dude of which used to work at Ubisoft and left it because of how bored he was of making bad games, how is it that they can make something so damn good with a fraction of the people and a fraction of the budget that these super giants of gaming employ while making garbage? And they don't like that because it starts raising questions and raising standards that threaten the aforementioned status quo. And the status quo keeps a lot of retards employed, many of them in the games media too. A lot of people who don't belong in game studios doing work that has nothing to do with games, running initiatives and programs and shit that actually only harm game projects and productivity rather than help them. And anything that attacks that status quo must be met with resistance. That's where the barrages of articles like these on screen right now came from. You might even notice how they're all written very similarly too. It's like you attacked the machine and the machine striked back with a script to spread across several games media outlets for them to put out, one after the other. Funny how that goes, huh? Funny how so many reviews for symbols like Veilguard and others are also written so similarly, often echoing the same thing like the return to form nonsense. And these articles were bullshit too, like yes, the studio outsourced some work. Every damn studio these days outsources work. There's loads of small freelance studios out there who specialize in some things and that do work for many games as assistants. Virtuous or whatever, the studio that remade Oblivion in Unreal Engine 5 for Bethesda did work for Stellar Blade as well, for example. And the cool hair physics in Veilguard, that was outsourced too. You guys can see all of that in the credits of the game, it's no secret. Assassin's Creed Shadows has like 2 hours worth of credits. You'll probably find no shortage of that shit in there as well. Is it ideal? No. Is it a whole mini industry of its own though? Yes, it is, and it works. The difference is, though, that there's those who use these assistant studios efficiently like Expedition 33 did, and their games result in absolute concise, focused bangers that don't have their budgets ballooned to Kingdom Come, and where it makes sense for them to do so because they only have around 30 developers. And then there's your Ubisofts and your EAs and your Sonys and your Xboxes and your Activisions and your 2Ks and all this other shit who do this as well, but their budgets are bloated exploded to hell and their companies already employ thousands of fucking people who apparently aren't doing anything in there since they still have to outsource work to external studios. Then layoffs happen and game journals go on social media with pity parties over it like, oh boo-hoo, game studios are doing layoffs again, boo-hoo. Well, what the hell is the alternative? You got thousands of employees, the games are still taking forever to get made, you're still outsourcing work to assistant studios and paying for it, the money is bleeding through the company, and then the games release and they either flop or they underperform. Of course they're firing people. What are you fucking expecting, a miracle? Anyone would see this as the realistic thing that needs to happen. These major studios need to slim down. But nah, the status quo must be maintained. It must be protected. Do you see now? Fellas, if you're a habitual viewer, I know you're informed. But if you're new, my boy, my girl, my whatever, you're getting cooked by games media and higher-ups on this rotten industry on a daily basis. All it is an engine to ensure the scam keeps going. Just roll with it and keep collecting checks for as long as possible, because let's face it, what's going to happen to these brain-rotten journalists when their outlets shut down? What's going to happen to ideologically captured game developers who can't actually make any goddamn work when their studios kick them out? They're cooked. That's what's going to happen. They don't have the talent to make it off their own merit. They don't resonate with wide audiences with their takes. Some of them probably don't even play games, like for real. Like, legitimately, I believe some of them don't even play games to begin with. They were hired and placed in their positions because they pushed for the same agenda. They had the right politics and they were activists for the same cause. Once that's over, they know they're screwed. And so, here we are. We're kind of just riding the wave with a few holes on the boat, slowly taking in water. Well, I don't want that. I want them to be true to their feelings. I want them to lay it all out. I want them to hand out every award they can muster to Ghost of Yotei and everything else to whatever they can fit for themselves. I want them to do to Expedition 33 what they did with Black Myth Wukong, even though it was easier with Wukong than it is with this game, because Wukong, it was a project, it's a Chinese project, it's from all the way across the pond, no known actors, no known anything, it was just a new strange variable. And I want them to do that because I want more people to wake up to the shit that's going on. It's not that they can't wake up on their own through all of these instances and examples that have already happened. It's just that this would be the perfect wake-up call for all the normies out there and all the people who like to stay out of the drama, you know? There's those people out there who are just like, I don't want to get into the drama, okay, I just want to play video games, just let me be, I don't want to talk about these agendas, okay? That's not what I'm about. I want them to wake up and realize that they're getting cooked too. They just don't realize it yet because they don't think that things are truly as bad as they are in the industry. A few years back, Joseph Ferris took to the stage of the Game Awards and asked Jeff Keighley if he could use cuss words. He turned to the camera and he said, "Fuck the Oscars." I love that moment, and I wish the current Game Awards had that energy. I wish its identity skewed far more towards true gaming culture rather than this fake tuxedo shit that this has become, where we have this clear separation between gamers and the elite tier, where all the game journalists sit and hold 90% of the vote. After spending the rest of the 364 days of the year fucking with us and making the games industry a worse place by sowing division and getting political for no goddamn reason.
It's hard to level up your own characters when you're dismantling democracy.
We're in good company here, but just in case for the people online, if you get mad at that joke, it's Greg Miller. G-R-E-G.
M-I-L-L-E-R. Fuck Elon Musk and fuck Donald Trump.
Much of the sad state that we're in right now is because of them in more ways than one. It's in the ways that I described just now and the unseen damage that it causes. Like, for example, the fact that the internet real estate, for lack of a better word, that they occupy with shitty articles and reviews pushing bad games to the top could instead be used to highlight fantastic AA and independent games instead. Sorry, I said instead twice. And I'm going to say it again. Instead of a zeitgeist that is ruled by pointless shit like identity politics, where it influences the artists, actors, composers, developers, studios, etc. that are given relevance because of immutable pointless characteristics. Instead of that, we could have have one ruled by who makes the best and most deserving content. But oh well. Anyway, let's move on to the next and last point, exploring the ridiculousness of the Game Awards beyond that, to a more fundamental level. The most annoying thing about the Game Awards that has caused me to stop watching them live since, I think, 2020, has been the way that they can't even serve their basic function anymore, their basic mission of truly highlighting and celebrating gaming and good games. It's very annoying to me when fantastic games that go under the radar because of not having the clout that the titans of the industry have, don't manage to have a spotlight shed on them in the one event of the damn year that was meant to do that by their own mission statement. This shit should be renamed to the Tourist Awards, because I swear man, no variety whatsoever in this shit. These people crow about diversity all year long, yet they can't even name more than 5 or 6 fucking games between them. It's ridiculous, it's embarrassing, it's outdated, and it has to go. It's like all they care about is the goddamn trailers, the music performances, and the tuxedos. Fuck the Oscars, brother. They are the Oscars now. It's like 70% pompous shit with the occasional deserving victory, and then of course the part everyone tunes in for, the new game announcements and gameplay trailers. Like, take a look at some of these nominees for this year, and by all means keep a pen and paper handy for some game suggestions. And also go taking note, because I'd like for you guys to tell me down in the comments which are your picks for each of these categories this year. And I mean your picks, not just the picks that are on screen from the nominees. Best Game Direction, awarded for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. Why is Ghost of Yote here? We all know what the winner is, by the way, it's uncontested here, but again, nominations matter. Nominations are big for publishers to wear as accolades. It's like game scores. Even half a point in a review score is a big deal for companies, and oftentimes even contributes towards bonuses for the developers or the lack thereof. And for smaller studios and indie developers, nominations mean achievement and exposure. And something that you're going to notice here is that sometimes these fucking categories, they can't even fill all 6 nominations. They go with 5 instead of 6. And at least for one of them here, I have no clue what the fuck it's doing. Like, Ghost of Yote innovates in nothing. It's just Ghost of Tsushima all over again, but with a less compelling story and a lot of gimmicky minigames. Where's Kingdom Come Deliverance here? Or Dispatch? I haven't played that game yet, but it seems that people are loving it as a bit of a return to that sort of Telltale type of narrative game. Where's Hell Is Us? The way that game plays from the moment-to-moment gameplay isn't innovative either, but the direction, the way you uncover information, the way a bunch of small things are detailed, the way there's so many little animations for everything, the original crazy story, etc. are definitely deserving of at least a damn mention. But I guess they just don't do that these days. Anyway, next one, Best Narrative. Again, I laugh my ass off at the presence of Yote in this, and the lack of more nominations. Where's Blueprints, for instance? I know it released earlier on this year and then people forget, but it was praised precisely for this, the story. And I personally really like the narrative and the way that we uncover it in Atomfall as well. But again, all we got is mainstream picks. Best Art Direction, 5 nominations again. No Sword of the Sea in this? No Tainted Grail? Oh, I know the textures and the graphics aren't top shelf, but the art direction in the world building, the weapons, the armors, enemy design, and the cool weird dark fantasy Arthurian legend stuff was terrific. But of course, just the same usual mainstream picks. Best Score and Music, same shit again, 5 nominees only, one of which I don't even think belongs here either, but whatever, I'm used to it by now. And in the meantime, great soundtracks that I've gone and downloaded on my phone, such as the one from Tainted Grail and Dying Light the Beast, are nowhere to be seen. Also, pardon my French, where the fuck is the first Berserker Kazan in these awards? Where's the soundtrack nomination? You're gonna put Yote in here but leave out Kazan's music? Get the fuck out of here. Where's Arc Raiders as well? That game has fantastic music. It can't beat Expedition. Sorry, Shroud, but it sure as hell deserved the nomination. Best audio design. At first I heard a lot of people bringing up Arc Raiders in regards to this section as well, and I'm not gonna lie, most of my gaming is done without headphones. I just hear it via the TV, and that means I don't pay too much attention to audio design. But after looking into it, it was clear that Arc Raider bros were right about this one. It should be here too, but whatever, what are you gonna do? Just add it to the list. Best performance. Not gonna lie fellas, this one ticks me off even as far as Expedition 33 goes, because I don't understand why they needed to put 3 nominations for this one from just one game alone. Like, just pick one. It's pretty obvious which one it should be too. It's goddamn Daredevil Charlie, who showed up at the studio once for like 5 hours and absolutely nailed Gustav's character. If not him, then pick Ben Starr for his awesome work as Verso. Bro has been really busy by the way, like damn, he also voiced Kazan this year. Always happy to hear his voice, he does a great job. Then, what you do with the rest here is you get your head out of your ass, you take Erika Ishii out because she, let's be honest, she reads her lines. If anyone's thinking of playing Yotai anytime, seriously do yourselves a favor and use the Japanese language, otherwise this monotone, emotionless bullshit is what you're getting.
You said something about sabotage?
My village has generously supplied lumber to finish Clan Matsumai's bridge, but someone keeps burning our work. That is where you come in.
I just need a place to stay out of sight.
A spyglass.
I haven't seen one of these since the Portuguese.
There. I'll have the best vantage point.
I'll stay with you.
I can't guarantee your safety.
It's my people's lumber and hard work that are on the line here.
You sure the money's here?
Careful! That was close!
I think I found our money. A gunman by that campfire.
He's a pretty good shot, too. It's all yours.
Such a gentleman.
Someone has to stay back and cover you.
Just watch where you aim. It's over. You can put the rifle down.
I don't think so.
So that's my payment? A bullet in the face?
I know how this works. You only help so you could kill me and take them on.
That's not how I work.
It's how things always work in Ezel.
Not always. Only since the Yote 6 took over. The money is yours. Minus my pay.
Sorry. I didn't mean anything by it.
Thanks. I might just do that.
How are your arms? Sore? Numb?
They're fine.
Savor the feeling. It won't last. I'm going to train your left arm to be as strong and fast as your right.
By throwing more coals at me?
By cutting through this.
And now you would have 3 more slots to give to other starving voice actors who are dying to get some deserved recognition for their work, or some already established ones who did a terrific job, like Roger Craig Smith should be up here for Kyle Crane, and I could pick at least 3 actors from Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 who should be up here as well. And also, the guy who played Don Torisi from Mafia. This dude killed it. I don't even need to say anything, I'm just going to roll a clip.
What are you doing here, Damiano? Answer me.
Don Torisi, this is Caruso.
I asked you a question.
The boy owes a debt. We tracked him. In the dark. He must have crossed over. We mean no disrespect. We'll take him. Be on our way.
The boy goes nowhere with you.
Until the debt is paid, he belongs to us.
on my land, you want nothing.
I may have had my gripes with this game, it may have ended up being a disappointment for me in comparison to the other Mafia games, but this guy killed every scene that he was in. Honestly, when it came to the acting, they all did a fantastic job. And the directing of the scenes too. Like, the developers did a good job in this regard. Are they going to get any recognition for it? Fuck no. Not in these awards. Next up we have Best Independent Game, and I'm about to rant, boys. Where's Schedule 1? It's not that these games on the list suck or anything, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I don't recognize Absolem or whatever, and I'm sick and tired of seeing Hades 2 all over these categories, but you gotta recognize what you gotta recognize. This game, I would say, more than any other on this list, excluding of course Expedition 33, blasted through all the noise, put its balls on the table, and went, witness me. Everybody and their mothers were playing Schedule 1 earlier this year, doing their best Breaking Bad impressions. This came out in March and made everything go away for a while, as everyone just talked about this game. Hell, it even made me buy it and start paying more attention to indie games on PC, because frankly I never bothered with many of them due to my PC sucking. I got hooked playing it and I still go back sometimes in my free time. This game put Assassin's Creed Shadows to shame, bro. And it isn't even worthy of a nomination. To this day, this game still maintains a very healthy concurrent player number on Steam, with a peak of 459,000 and a current daily number of around 12,000 and around 7 million estimated sales. Like, dude, that's impressive. And the guy kept working on it and adding more stuff to the game. But oh boy, because of a few edgy jokes here and there and an achievement name that had some wankers crying on social media and that the developer ignored, including the news media losers who wrote about it, suddenly we gotta pretend like this game doesn't exist. Best debut indie game, in other words, best first game created by a new independent studio. Obviously this is another category where Expedition 33 cleans up, but still I wonder, why only 4 games in this? Again, where's Schedule 1? Where's Tainted Grail, Fall of Avalon? That game slapped and was made by a very small studio. It does have a small publisher listed in a way, but it's even smaller and more insignificant than Expedition 33's Kepler and Ball Pit's Devolver Digital. That's right fellas, Expedition 33 and Ball Pit have small publishers. Doesn't mean that they don't deserve to be in these categories though, so where are the other games at, man? Best action game. I gotta rant again. Where are the other action games, bro? Where's Kazan? Also, if Hades 2 and Shinobi are here, why isn't Silksong here? I have no idea what goes on in the minds of the people who set these up. Why is Battlefield here? Like, this is an online shooter. Isn't it about time to have a separate shooter category for stuff like this? So that way we can also highlight other fun shooters that released this year instead of mashing everything into a maximum of 6 nominations in a single action game category? In general, we need more categories, honestly. Like, it's not 2010 anymore, where only a few games come out and are exceptionally noteworthy. The games industry has grown a lot. It's time the awards do too. The shooters should have their own spot, so the action game spot could include more variety of action games. Kazan should be here. Like, that is a good-ass Souls-like, dude. Dying Light the Beast should be here too. How the fuck is Dying Light the Beast not here? Were these juries asleep at the wheel? Why isn't Lost Soul Aside here? You're supposed to celebrate games, yet you can't even fill all the categories with 6 fucking nominees. Would you get tired? Did you get sleepy? Did you run out of ideas in the shill meeting? Get out of here, man. What are we doing? But there's Lost Soul Aside is mid. Hey man, so is Ghost of Yote, and yet that shit was nominated for 8 categories. Best Action Adventure. Again, 5 nominees only. Again, missing great action adventure games. Where's Atomfall, brother? Where's Hell Is Us? These 2 games were shoo-ins for this category, dude. They have action, they have adventure, and they have great stories designed around mysteries to unveil during your adventurous exploration. They have big fights, they have exciting chases, they have stealth, well, one of them at least. They have thrills, they have chills. Hell, they even come with different endings. Like, what the fuck else do you want here, brother? What do you want? What do I have to do? What does a developer have to do to fit into the Game Awards these days? Suck a dick. Oh man, I'm fucked up. I got that sickness from the weather switch. I got a cold. That was the cold talking, guys. Sorry, it's not me. The RPG section is even worse. 5 nominees only, again. Tainted Grail is nowhere to be found, despite doing the Elder Scrolls formula far better than Avowed and with some original dark fantasy twists of its own. But don't worry, because the shills who make up this stupid-ass show made sure to put Avowed in there. Not surprising, of course. I mean, these are the same people who, you know, don't really play these games and have ChatGPT writing their reviews, but anyway. If they didn't put Avowed in there, they would have to reduce this to 4 nominees since they spent the entire year writing hit pieces against gamers rather than playing video games. Again, in a category like this, everything else that goes in besides Expedition 33 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is fodder. It's not there to win, it's just there to fill a category space. It's obvious that only these 2 games have the spaghetti sauce to win the award, but god damn dude, at least honor better games with a nomination instead of those from Obsidian whose games have been getting worse and worse. Like holy shit dude. These people are literally rewarding mediocrity sold at a premium price. If you're gonna put Avowed in here, shit, you may as well go all the way and put Assassin's Creed Shadows too. I mean, Jesus. Anyway, circling back, the Game Awards was meant to be a celebration of good games, achievements in game development, and gaming as a whole. As it grew, it was also my hope, and I believe its own mission, to highlight deserving games from more obscure studios or indie creators. Expedition 33 is an example. It went mainstream with media attention and everything else, and that's what saves it. But it could have suffered from the same thing that many other games suffer from, which is obscurity. Instead, this has just become the Oscars of gaming, where that kind of thing happens very rarely, and what makes up the main component of the show is internal self-glazing with a lot of bells and whistles, a lot of glamour, a lot of awarding big corporate games and brands that aren't really doing anything innovating, unless increasing their prices qualifies as innovation. And the worst part is that it's being done by the same activists in games media who are not only incapable of naming more than 10 games between them, but also spend their days creating hit pieces on gamers, dunking on games that they don't approve of, and sowing more and more division between us, the gaming public, and them, the elite industry insiders. And as this division becomes worse and worse, with examples of them attacking us or entire game fan bases, or even developers sometimes, like I mentioned earlier with IGN saying Stellar Blade was made by incels who never seen a woman, the worse this division becomes, the more unfair award shows like these will be. Expedition 33 is likely to clean up just like Baldur's Gate 3 did, but that's because of self-preservation, not because of them truly believing in it. When it comes to what they truly believe in, we already see that the entire year through. The Game Awards needs reform. These sources have proven themselves to be biased. If Jeff Keighley was worried about voting integrity to the point where he decided to only give 10% of the voting power to the players, since voting could be overwhelmed by fan-made campaigns or botted accounts, then how can he not be concerned with the voting integrity when a bunch of people who hold 90% of the vote spend the entire year being unpopular, biased assholes? I think it's time to just ditch the legacy media bullshit. Get real judge and jury panels. Get rid of ideologues and get unbiased people, or just do fan voting. And get more games in there. Either get more categories or get more nominations per category. Way too many good games go by unnoticed. It's bad enough when you get games snubbed and Game of the Year awards given away to games that clearly didn't deserve them, but at the same time, I look at these nominees and I don't even find most of the games that truly stood out and provided a good time for me throughout the entire year. And then when I see Avowed in there, it's when it becomes a cosmic joke. Maybe I'm seeing too much into this. Maybe I shouldn't take the Game Awards so seriously. I mean, I already don't, since they can't be trusted for shit. What I mean is, maybe I take the concept too seriously to want to get it fixed when, you know, maybe I just shouldn't. Maybe none of this should matter, but damn man, this was meant to be something more. It was meant to be more than the Doritos and Mountain Dew advertisement, and it did manage to get past that point. But now it's headed off in another direction, where it fails to be more than just a pompous Oscar show that just doesn't relate to gamers or the medium itself at all. Ironically, even though I hate Doritos and I never had Mountain Dew in my life, I find that shit more relatable than wearing a sparkly suit in some venue at the goddamn Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, California. Seriously, saying it out loud makes it even more hilarious. I mean, what's next? You're gonna get Hassan Piker to present one of the categories? Most shocking game reveal? Anyway, boys and gals, that's all that I had for you today. A semi-controlled rant about the Game Awards and how much better they should be. Hopefully some change comes to it. It's damn sad that what was meant to be the most independent and official one has bogged down to another posh show. Thanks for watching. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it to help boost it, and let me know your thoughts and personal Game of the Year picks for this year. I'll be down there too, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.